off and like look right into the brains because sometimes that's all you can do. I'm loving this. And this is not really a real skull, of course, but it's what you call it's made of plastic and it's very heavy plastic. Let's just hope it's a plastic skull. This stuff looks plasticky. Feels plasticky. You got like screws that are plasticky. But for the most part, though, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because in everybody's artist workshop, there's always someone that has like some kind of like skull situation going on. There's like a skull thing going here, and so I just wanted to take an opportunity to have one of these skulls. And this here, I wonder, see if it put it and you bite somebody's hand, you can just that's or see how it would be. It's just terrible, terrible stuff. Okay, what we're gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and work on some of these cool things for you today. I'm gonna put this skull. I'm gonna call her that's a lady's skull, right? Looks like a lady's skull. I don't know. Looks like a skull. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna show this here. It's like call it Skeletor or Scully. Call you Scully. That's right. It should be called Scully. Right. All right, cool. Put Scully back in Scully's box. That way, she can cool inside her box and not mess with anybody, right? Because you don't want no skull walking around in the house. No, there. Nope. No, sir. That's right. Keep a skull in the box where it belongs. Skull and brain, baby. All right. Wouldn't it be crazy to read this thing that's like, yeah, it's actually a real skull? No, it's not a real skull. Right. Because I'd be like, oh, man, who did it belong to? All right, so, there's actually a museum. I must admit, there is a museum that has live... Well, that's too much details. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and start working on sculpture today. I have several sculptures that are pending. Right here, we have one. This is Joppa. This one here is the 6 legs Diplocalus. Right? 6 legs Diplocalus. Right. I had to make 3 of these. I had to make 1 of these. This one here is Jimba. This is Jimba right here. So we're gonna in the back I have, as you can see in the back I have Scream and the Scream Agony, and Venom. I also have a little Venom too, a little tiny Venom, and also I got a big Venom too. Here's a big Venom because Venom happens to be one of my favorite characters. Not because of the fact that he had a good transformation, and I like that. A good character transform from an enemy and a villain into a good character. It's kind of like human life, We go from being, we transform. Long story short, here's the cool things I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this thing here. I'm gonna because it. Those of you who missed the skull opening, well, I might do it again. Who knows? For the most part, though, I had Scully with me. Scully, I'll show you Scully again. Not right now. A little later. Most part, let's go ahead and start this thing, shall we? I'm gonna put a screen back here, not to distract you people. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my arena all ready. And let me get my hands ready to go make some cool sculptures and artwork. Yeah, so here it goes. Here's the Venom. The Venom by Venom as well. I just fell in love with this white pen. This is a pen, and it's just really cool when you can mark on it. Let's for example, you can do stuff, you can mark on it, and it's so cool. So yeah, you have this white pen, and I'm just loving this. This is just a cool, wonderful thing. Let's go ahead and do it live. I'm gonna work on some commissions here. So this is a pen. Let's do this, folks. This here is masking tape. This is the medium I use in order to make the stuff that I make. And so what we're going to do is I go ahead and just going to start working on some stuff. Now, I give you the options. Hey, how you doing? I give you the options to actually suggest which one should I start with first. Should I start with the Diplocalus, 6 legs? Should I start with, Joppa? Or should I start with Jimba? Let me know in the comments. First one who does it, who lets me know, I'll start working on that sculpture first. But this is Jimba. Jimba is so complex as she is. I'm gonna make 2 of this. I want to make one Joppa, another Joppa, but I'm gonna make 3 of these 6 legs. So, alrighty, a couple seconds, and I think I might start with the 6 legs because 6 legs, the fish ones are really, really complex. I'm only gonna do this for a few minutes. Not gonna do it for a whole long time tonight, but I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this one. So let's start working on that one. We're gonna jump onto this. So those of you who just kind of signed off, what happens? You're gonna miss out on this really cool thing. So I'm gonna raise the camera up just a little bit higher, so you guys can see a little bit better, things here. Like that. Let me see. Let me start for a second. Boop. In my yellow pants. Here goes this right here. This is my hand. It's the creature. Let's begin. So, I wonder if I should do this at AMSR or if it's just a conversation piece, but let's go ahead and do this, shall we? Boom. Alright. And when I do anything in terms of like sculpting or work, I don't usually use a reference. But when I have an actual reference here, I can actually use an actual reference. Remember, I gotta make three. That's what we can do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching here today. I was working on a sculpture. This is one of the things I use for a sculpture. So when I use when I make scales, I 3D printed this a while back, and when I used it was used it with my airbrush. I got this fancy dancy airbrush system here, right? I for my birthday kids to get me a cool airbrush system. This is my airbrush system. Yeah, baby. And so to work here, I have one of these sculpture right here. There's the picture, and so this is how it is right there. Unplug this for a second. My is running low on my phone, but live. I want to show you guys a couple of things here. This here happens to be a couple of my creatures. This one's called Saffron, and Saffron is a hammerhead as you can see the colors, but she's all made of Instamorph. Instamorph is moldable plastic, a type of plastic that you can, once you heat up, you can actually form it and mold it, so you have all the cool accoutrements of it. You see this a cool thing right there? The other part here, this one here, is one that has masking tape inside. This is kind of like following the same suit as what I learned when I saw Marcos make a Spinosaurus on his channel, Marcos Cavazza, right? When he made his Spinosaurus, he had the interior of masking tape. He made the interior masking tape and epoxy. You know, I've never used my milli part yet, and I will. I have to use it. For the most part, though, this is one of those things where it's very much similar of masking tape. You can see, like, if you see between the cracks, within the cracks, you can see that there's tape. So there's actually tape with the foam. So what happens when I'm a purist in terms of I keep it to this tape. The tape is very flexible. It can handle life. Because you know in life you have to be flexible. If you're not, then if you don't flexible, you'll break. So very much so. So these are the three that I have here. And what happens, I'm using my hammerhead one, my alien six-legged, you know, hammerhead salamander, Diplocaulus, into what you call into a creature that you can like see and love. And so I think this is really cool. So anyway, so I'm gonna keep working on that. This is a commission. I know to make them. So what I'm gonna do a couple of things here. I'm gonna go ahead and work on this, and hopefully it keeps the signal. But yeah, definitely I am just happy to be able to do this because it's like this is one of those things. If you don't art, you will suffer art withdrawal syndrome. And I think what that is that you want to make something, you're not sure what, and you start lashing out at your coworkers, and you start lashing out at your dog and your cat, lashing out at the salad. And so you don't want to lash out at anything. You just want to make something cool. And don't want to punch no pillow. Ain't no good, no punch, no pillow. What's the point of that? Don't waste your time punching no pillow. What you need to do, you need to go make something. You know, come to one of my classes. I totally enjoy that. People can actually come to it. And it's here in Queens, New York. It's here. You can come to a class and you can learn how to do something cool with masking tape. And I show you all the cool accoutrements and how to do it. So what happens is at the end of the day, you are a masking tape master. Right? So you can be able to do this stuff. You'll actually learn quite a lot, and my classes are quite fun. Everybody who's ever come to any of my classes have done nothing but praises. You know, as a matter of fact, I should you do like a thing where people come in and say, "Hey, can you give me like a review of the class that you've gone to, you've been part of?" Because you know, one of the cool things about the class is that you get a chance to actually, you know, see and be part of stuff. You know, and I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah. So first and foremost, I'm not really doing a tutorial now, but I'm just kind of working on just kind of showing, you know, some of the procedures, how I present and prepare. But, you know, it's like I have the science down, so I can just kind of put these guys away. But I'm going to leave some of the cool eye candy there for you guys to see. You guys like to see these cool things, so I leave the cool things for you to see. So there's that right there. I was working on a couple things. I'll put like Deli. That's not Deli, this is actually Dougie. Hello, I'm Dougie. See Dougie right here. I'm Dougie. And Dougie he's a froggy. Dudley is a froggy. So he's like, not Dudley, but Dougie. And he's like, I'm a frog. And he's got a long tongue too, like Dudley. So he's like, there you go. So you have that right there. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Right. Okay, so I keep working on this thing. Here's Venom there. Venom there, Venom there. Here's Venom here. Right there, as you can see. Venom. Yeah, the reason why I say Venom, I have explained it to you, but I like him because he was like, the first time I saw him, he was just so weird looking. I was like, what the world is that? And kind of thing. And it was like after that, kind of followed his story, and it was like during a time where it's like there was one trying to end up on an island with Spider-Man, and he thought Spider-Man was like, just trying to figure out who Peter was, but he realized Peter Parker was, and he pushed him into the thing, and he was able to jump out of the way. So you realize that that's the person. So what happened was like you have this scenario where as you're looking at this stuff, you're seeing, okay, well, it's like, what is his character all about, And then you start finding out that he's actually has they changed him so many times, from the comic books to the movies to the movies again. They changed him. They went from being like a simple thing. I wasn't quite understanding that with the comic book. It didn't make sense to me, his character arc. I understood the suit was bad and the suit, was a bad suit from Secret Wars. But then what happened was like, it just the whole thing with that. But long story short, they just every time they changed in the comic book, they made like he came on the ship. In the movie, he came through on the ship. So like and so that was it. And then what do you call it? The comic book they made him. He was like a genetic modified experiment. So he was like, so you have it's several different types of venoms. So, but one thing I thought was kind of cool was just the whole aspect of like when you start looking at and start understanding how things are. You're like, okay, this is pretty cool. It's pretty significant because like you're looking at the fact that Venom is just a character they made, and they made him to be all like funky looking, and from there spawned a whole world of different characters, which is like so cool. So he's like the king in the back here. Venom, Venom. All right, so you have that. So here's this. Gonna go ahead and just kind of we're gonna do all at the same time, so that way I don't like just waste time. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of focus on getting more of them done at the same time, so I can actually, go and complete certain things. Because when you get to one page, you don't want to waste paint or tape or any of those things, but you gotta just kind of work as quick as you can. And definitely sitting down is better than standing up. Let me tell you, because I get all winded and stuff standing up. But for the most part, though, this is way better to sit down and to just do this. All right, so one. So like everything, like start with the head, you know, because your head kind of determines the size of your body. That's why I think you have a skull, right? You have this whole skull thing, where if you work with the skull, you're able to just kind of make some really cool stuff, And I had a long day today. I had a long day at work. I'm gonna make one of these, make one of them, him, in like a six-legged instant work type fashion. I'm not gonna do it today, of course, but if I was to do it, it would be like really cool because when you look at the stuff, how things work. You just never sure. But for the most part, this is like very catharsis for me, just having a long day. I had a very good week. I just have to admit that my week was great. Thank God for it. And let's see if I could just kind of make sure I get this the proportions right. It's gonna be bigger and bigger than it was when I made it the first time. So you have to also give it space because when you work on something like this, you can't like just have it where it's like really close and stuff. You have to kind of make it so that it's actually pretty significantly far away. Because what happens is like you have to kind of factor in muscle mass. Yeah, that's one of those things that you got to think about when you make anything. Because when you make something and it's like every time you do one of these tape like rotations, you start getting into the thing of losing space. So to kind of compensate for that, you have to kind of factor in, I need like X amount of millimeters of space in order to make X amount of millimeters of distance to make X amount of millimeters of, of work and stuff like that. What I understand is like, I think Friday is like the worst time to do anything in terms of videos. But I said, let me just go ahead and do this because there's always somebody who's like watching or paying attention who wants to know more stuff. So you just do that, and that's what you do. Bring it down just about, bring it back up. Here. Mhm. If you had extra arms and legs, you'd have to have extra sockets in your body. You couldn't just like wake up one day and have an extra set of arms. You'd have to have your whole body be able to pivot with it and stuff, and you'll have your whole body be able to like just compensate for the extra arms and legs that you got. Because if you have you have a I mean, well, that's obvious. I'm Captain Obvious right now, but I'm just saying that if you were to have an extra set of arms or a tail, your body would have to, or even wings for that matter. Imagine that people talk about like want to have wings or something. I don't know, actually know anybody who wants to have wings. Some people want to have the power to fly without wings, kind of like Rogue or Magneto. That kind of power. That's something there where you can actually, kind of interesting type thing. Because if you fly and you have wings, then you just kind of notice, well, it's like, oh, look, it's Birdman or something. But if you're like, or like at nighttime, you're Batman, but Batman can't really fly, except for Terry McGinnis, the Batman, which is Batman Beyond, that one can actually fly, which is actually pretty cool. So you have to use the hooks and the swinging and all that stuff. Grappling hook got rid of that, right? That was pretty cool. But I mean, I always thought the grappling part was actually the fun part. But then you think about the upper body strength you need in order to grapple. Because, for example, for you to hold your own body weight, right? And then for you to catch somebody else falling at 9.8 meters per second square as they're accelerating towards the ground, every second you kind of increase 9.8 meters. So 9 meters, you got 9.8 meters per second. So 9.8 meters per second. You're looking at a meter is about 3 feet. Right, so you got 9.3. We're looking at 3 times 9, about 27. 27 feet every second. So you got to be able to catch a person falling at 27 feet or so. Or maybe more than that, maybe 30 feet a second. So that's a lot of work to do. Because, I mean, that's a lot of muscle mass you must have. So, again, I think it's better to have a suit that can actually catch. Because remember the thing I talked about with Superman? People, I didn't say it about, but somebody's saying, I remember back in the day, if Superman was to catch you, you'd break on his arms, You just break on his arms. Because, his arms wouldn't break. But we would break just being caught by him. So you'd have to actually slow down to catch. So if you ever watch the Superman movies, when he catches Lois for the very first time, he falls down and he slows down, if you ever see it. So they had to kind of put that into perspective. I thought it was kind of cool, put it into perspective. So, yeah. This is 22 minutes. And we got one begun. And we're about to get one started. So there's that. Let's take a look at the references. You look at the reference. Here's the original. Here's the next one. And so we're done together. So there's like that. So it's just a matter of bulking them out. Right? This is one. Gonna put this sucker down and gonna work on two. Actually, no, it's not really one done yet. I should go as far as I can with it, and then we'll go to count it as one. Because what ends up happening is that you have what's that word I'm looking for? Yeah, you're gonna have fatigue trying to get everything else done. So better to get one done completely to the nth degree as much as possible, and then from there you work on the second one. Because if you don't, what ends up happening is that you are incomplete, and you'll be working on incomplete against incomplete. And so that's the thing there. I must admit that this the whole thing with masking tape has been so fun. See, the thing is, again, you can definitely do anything. See, like that, you make people, animals, creatures. So I'm going to keep going with this. I'm probably make the jaw on that one, and actually make because you got to make see the head on this one. He's just like that's how he does it. And that's how he does kind of like a little crazy eyed. But you have to make the head big enough to hold eyeballs. So I gotta increase the size of his head. So let's see, now the head goes up and it goes over on top there. So okay, so I gotta increase the size of his head. You do that. Can't give you too much trade secrets. Come to my class, you'd love it. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy being there. Because what happens, like, when you get a chance to kind of like meet other people, and then you get a chance to test your skills against yo, hello, what's up, go, Ron? Goran. Tecno nunca. Nunca more. Nunca more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See, I don't know whether it's better to talk or just let the sound be heard or something. You know, I just always wonder about that. You know, it's kind of one of those things. What I'm gonna do, a break between each of these, but I'm also gonna do this for just 30 minutes. So I can't do this for too long because you know why? Because sometimes you just gotta put stuff for a short time. You can't do everything for journeyman classes. Journeyman classes. Journeyman classes. Whew. Give me a drink of some orange juice. Back in a second. This kind of creature is actually what we call a basilisk. It's a basilisk hammerhead diplocalus. So diplocalus basilisk because it's a six-legged folklore creature, right? And it's a creature that has many legs, and it's supposed to be like almost like a lizardy type thing. So this one here has 6 legs, you can see, right? 6 legs, and it has like 4 toes altogether. It's like 12 pieces. Each one representing like power. Each leg represents power, independent like thinking, but also like it's like 12. It represents the year. So you have a whole year. I'm just making this up right now, the whole year part. But it's like you have a creature that has enough toes to count one day of the month of the year. So you got 12 toes, and then you got appendages 2 years. So every year, you have like a starting and a finish. And so with a creature like this, you actually have a creature that's like pretty interesting in terms of like the stuff it can do. Like you look at how how it's like how it's a pretty cool creature to look at. Right, so what I'm gonna kind of make the bottom jaw, because the bottom jaw is like there. Make his jaw. And get his jaw working here. And then my time will be up for the first one. Just think each one is about, takes about, but it's not even finished. This is just kind of the introduction. It's not even like the whole shebang, but just let you know that this is just a short video that I'm going to do. But I kind of like to say that this is what I can do in the time given. But like imagine that we can do so much together if we work together. We pool our resources. We can rule this universe. You and I. Together we will conquer the world. Together we'll conquer the world. It's starting to take form, starting to take shape. You see that? Starting to take form, starting to take shape. And it's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. This is one thing the AI cannot do. The AI cannot do what we're doing right here, right now. The AI can try to do it, but it requires hands and dexterity and know-how. So it's not just a regular sculpting class where you carve away, what a machine can do. Yes, a machine can carve better than we can, let me tell you. But for the most part, that when a person does it, it's unique because it's telling a story. See, every single sculpture is a story, right? A story of struggle and winning. A story of like being able to conquer and problem solve. So whenever you have like a sculpture like this, you're just problem solving and trying to figure out how we can make this the most durable, the most it's like the most intense thing with the least amount of resources. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want. I mean, you can. There's a lot of energy. That means you can only make like one of them. But like in the situation when I'm doing my art stuff here, I can make multiple stuff, multiple things. Not because it's like it's cheap or easy. It's because it's a kind of like understanding the resource that you have. One of the best things you must do as an artist or anything was understand the tools that you work with. Understand what the hammer claw is for. Understand what the hammer head is for. Understand what each side is. The measurements, the size of how big the hammer metal part is. All these things. Understand what is there for. Why you got to hold the grip a certain way. And when you do that, you become an expert in your field. So remember, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, you better know what you know, because if you don't know what you know, you're gonna get eaten. Okay, remember that. Food. Okay? You become food for those who have skills. All right? Just like the elite. Remember that you work a job, and the reason why you work a job, like I work a job, outside of this, is because you want like money to pay the bills. You want something, but at the same time, though, it's because we haven't done the thing that the person that we're working for did, right? If we ever did the thing they did, not saying that we should, not saying that we shouldn't, but understand that the sacrifice that they made to get their job, and what the plans they did, we can do it too. Like we can have people working for us. You know what I'm saying? It's a matter of just like understanding that a boss is just a boss because they have, it's like several levels of it, by the way. Like the entrepreneur doesn't really do the hiring sometimes. Usually the manager does the hiring. The entrepreneur just kind of gives a vision, to the manager, and the manager gives the responsibility to the technician, and the technician is the worker. They're name for a worker. So you're just working on the level to accomplish a task that needs to be done. But you're not the entrepreneur. You're not the one with the dream. The one with the dream is the one who had the idea, who put it all together for everybody, so they can have a job and they can get a paycheck and all that good stuff, right? So, for example, if you happen to be a person that's like they just a person where you're just doing your own thing, then what happens is like you have to deal with all the parts. So there's a wisdom in like having somebody else drive the car while you're working on something. There's a wisdom in having somebody else fly the plane while you're working on something else. Wisdom in having somebody else cut your grass, right? Because you can be doing something else. You don't have to be there spinning tape or I like spinning tape. You have to be there actually just doing the task. You can actually have somebody else do the task for you. And when they do the task for you, what they end up doing is that they free you up, free up your time. And that's what the rich people do. They have figured out a way to solve a problem for mankind that will free them up so they can do what they want, plus get money. So if you can find something that you can do that'll give you money, that will help you become a better person, you do that. Don't just be like you be a worker and you complete a task. But if you can find a way to make other people get money and jobs too, that would be awesome because we live in an economy where people need work, and when they work on stuff, they become better. People actually like to work. I think we were meant to work. That's why I think retirement is the most craziest thing in the world. When you think about people who go into retirement are just, I don't know, I was gonna say it's idiots, but that's not true. They've worked there. They did their time. They served their sentence, right? Served their sentence well. But when they go to retirement, sometimes they forget like why they go into retirement, and because of that, when they do that kind of thing, you put themselves in a situation where they are burning. You gotta go to retirement. You better have a plan what you're gonna do every year, because now you're the boss of your time. Because at first it's like you gave yourself over to a situation, and the situation told you exactly what to do, where to be, what to do, what job you need to get done, yabba dabba do, an assignment. And then so what happens is that when you get to a level, where it's like now you're on your own, most people don't know what to do. So this is kind of thing like when I was working DoorDash and working roadie, it's like that was kind of giving us a perspective as to how our weeks can be. Like we'd work like during the week, and then we do the weekends, we do the night market stuff. So today is Friday. Today's Friday the 16th of May. So in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, about like 14, 7, 14, a little less than 2 weeks, a little less than 14 days. About 13 days from now, we're gonna have the classes. So in 13 days, I would love to see you there, meet you, and be able to, to talk with you about some of the cool stuff we're going to be doing. But for the most part, though, it would be great just to, just to meet you in person, and then we could talk and then make some cool art and, have a good time, So that's something there. But my stuff is in Eventbrite. If you can join me there, that'd be great. But for the most part, though, this is like, I'm coming to the end of my tape. I'm also coming to the end of, I only said it was going to be 30 minutes or so. I wasn't going to make it too long today. But I'm just gonna show you a couple things we're doing in order to do this commission. So yes, this is a commission. I can actually talk and do this at the same time, and this is cool. But for the most part, though, it's like this is the part where, I just kind of work on some stuff and I show you guys the cool stuff that I'm working on. Yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. For the most part, though, yeah, I was saying before about retirement, you better have your plan worked out great. You don't just retire and then just kind of live on the money you have. You gotta figure out ways to make more money or buy assets or something, or definitely bless someone's life. It's kind of the goal of they have us work for so many years, and then when we're useless, except if you're a politician for some reason, the politicians work until they're like, until they're dead. So that's how you do it. They work until they fall down, in Congress or something. And then people keep reelecting them. I don't understand that either. But that's another story, and I try not to get into too many politics. I mean, I kind of just stop doing that for now. But for the most part, though, you have it where, you're kind of like facing these situations and scenarios, and you're just like, oh my word, this is like how, what are you gonna do at retirement? You get a chance to kind of like find out what you want to do. Kind of plan out the things you would love to do, and then go do it. Because at the end of the day, it's like it's you, your family, you, God, and your family, really, and. I mean, everybody's been put here for a reason. I mean, God doesn't make people just to have them go live in the woods, you know what I mean? You're made to do something to accomplish some kind of a task. You're made to, because I mean, there's some things you have to do. You have to contribute something to society, and then when that's done, you have to contribute something else to society. That's what this whole retirement thing. I don't know if it's even biblical, because I mean, like it was like what's his name? Moses was like 80 years old when he started like getting people out of Israel, out of Egypt, to the Egypt thing. That was like when he was 80. So just imagine what it'd be like, to start your career at 80 versus starting your career at 40, because he was 40 years when he left Egypt to run into the wilderness. 40 years old. So then what happened was like when he went to he came back, he was 80 years old, and then when he got to the promised land, which he didn't get a chance to go into, he was 120 years old, right? So he was like an old dude, right? So all the time he lived to the 40s, he was just kind of playing up in Egypt. His sister, he learned as much Egyptian things as possible, and I don't know how much of that stuff helped him because he wasn't leaning on that when he was in the Egyptian training. He wasn't leaning on the stuff that he got through. But I was just saying, that's what I'm saying. He retired when he was dead. That's when he retired. But he had God had to work a lot of things, and unfortunately, he never got to even go to the promised land. He got to see it. That's kind of a bummer. When you think about it. So yeah. So for the most part, there's like one of those things where it's like when you're working on stuff, you're just kind of like hoping to you're hoping to be able to accomplish great things. So, well, I'm gonna just finish up the last 2 feet, and then after the last 2 feet, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Because I wasn't gonna do a whole hour tonight. I was gonna do just 30 minutes or so, because it's like these live streams. I was kind of making up for Wednesday. I didn't do a Wednesday night live stream because I was just like, okay, I can't really. So then I thought, okay, let me just go ahead and kind of come up and talk a couple things here and there. But for the most part, though, I didn't want to talk too long because you can really focus better when you're not talking sometimes. And I remember I was doing the ASR. Remember I made the 2 unicorns a couple weeks ago? That was really cool. That was actually like 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago. Do you see this? How time goes by so quickly? So anyway, so my family and I, we've been watching The Walking Dead, and we're up to season 11, which is like the last season. And then the next one after that is called Fear the Walking Dead, and they have spin-offs, right? Spin-off shows. So I don't know. Let's see how that goes. But we're almost through the middle of it, so I'm just kind of working and trying to figure these things out and trying to make this cool. Just had to make 2 more of these things. Hammerhead salamanders. And they're built very well, by the way. These creatures are not built like weak. The way I build them, the way I structure them, the way I twist the tape is it's all like trained. For the last 6 years, I've been doing this. And I've been able to kind of get this whole thing working where it's a principle of how this tapes work and how the tape twists. So when you work on it, it's not just a matter of it's not just a matter of twisting tape. It's a matter of understanding how tape twists. All right. So again, it's understanding your tool. So if you're gonna know anything, study your tool, study what you work on. If you're gonna learn to do stuff in foam, you study foam. You learn as much as you can about foam. If you're gonna do it in clay, you study about clay as much as you can, And if you're gonna do Legos, you do Legos, Instamorph, anything, whatever you learn, whatever you need to learn, you learn it well. So that way you can actually use it in practice. Because if you don't use it in practice, you lose it. And that's the thing I found about life too. That life works that way too. If you don't use your skills, you actually lose it, and somebody else is going to come teach your kids how to play guitar or something like that, So you learn your skills, you learn it well, and you do it well. If you don't do it well, somebody else will come along and take it from you. They will come and take it from you. Like they did in Iron Man. The little brother walked up into your house, and he took your suit. I thought you were the invincible Iron Man, So what happens is that, apparently, that's what Samuel Jackson said to him about when Rudy went in and took Iron Man's first suit, the Mach 2. The Mach 2 suit. He come and he stole it. So anyway, so that's kind of the thing there too. So I don't know. It's one of the things that was stole Rudy's suit. Rudy came and stole the suit in Iron Man 2. Took the Mach 2. The Mach 2. The Mach 5. Mark. The Mark 5. The Mach. It's Mark. So yeah, so I got that one. All right, I'm gonna get these feet done. Okay, I'm about to run out of tape on my other recording device, so I'm gonna have to kind of call it. I have to call it. This here, looking at 44 minutes, right? I'm about to run out of this one, so I'm going to pause for a second on that one. I'm going to go ahead and fix this one here. So this is my camera. So I actually have to go in and make space so I can actually continue this. Because I want to, before I complete this, I actually finish. I want to finish the menu. Okay, got 48 minutes left on this one. So 48 minutes left. Gonna see if I can just go ahead and do that. Okay, I got 15 more minutes on this one, but I'm gonna end it soon. I'm not gonna keep going with this because I said I wouldn't. So only 30 minutes in here and 45 minutes in. Yeah. So okay. So the thing is, like, my thoughts on the whole matter is like, if you're gonna do something, you do it well. If you're gonna eat well. So So if you're gonna eat well. It's not walk. It's not make. It's faith. And that faith good. I need to learn my patois better. I really do. My home country, we were suppressed from learning the language of the people. And so what happens is, like, in order for me to learn it now, I have to actually go take a special course. Again, if you don't learn something because, you got taught, you got to go learn a different way. And so my Haitian friends, they speak patois, and they speak Creole, and it's like the Creole they speak is so similar to the one that we speak in my home country that it was like, a couple words that crossed over, like Zandoli and Mabuya, but there's other words that, like, that you just can't get. So you have to kind of study the language. And that's one of the things where it's like, if you study the language of anything, you start catching different thoughts in different ways about stuff. You learn a whole scenario of thoughts. So yeah, here we go. I'm almost down to the last foot. When I get to the last foot, I'm just gonna finish the jaw, and then that'll be one that's almost complete because I got to make eyes for them, and each one has eyes and paint and seal and a whole plethora. So I gotta make the tongue, gotta make the retractable tongue, and then you gotta make like just for each of them. So it'll be 3 of these, and then after that you gotta make the jimba and the japa and the 2 jimbas. And Jimba is actually quite complex too. She's not an easy one to make. She's actually complex. See right here, this picture. This picture right here is what Jimba looks like when she's like not, when she's not at this. When she's not at this. This is the fish monster Jimba, all right? As you can see. But what happens is that this is the one that's gonna be what it looks like. This is a triggerfish. Triggerfish. So this is my design I used. I made this already. So I said, okay, we had a shower curtain. And I looked at the shower curtain and it was like, okay, this is so cool. I like the way it looks. So there you have that. All right, so there's that. And I got one more set of feet. Then I got to make the face. And then I will be complete with that. I'll get to number 2. Because I have to make 2 more of those. So you have that there. So yes. Anyway. I think what I'm gonna do in the future, I might actually do something where I get more like robust with these things. Like really robust, like have it like make them look like organic, like almost silicone and stuff. I haven't messed with silicone yet. I have not. I want to. I have silicone sprays. I have silicone ideas. I have the masking tape stuff. So I mean, like, it's not that far away because silicone is just like this. It's the cousin of the brother of the uncle. But it's like, the thing is, you don't want to, whenever you use any kind of chemicals, you get slightly chemical poison, So you have to make sure you get something in a well ventilated place and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of what with this. What I might just do, I might just go back to sleep and take a nap, because I'm just like, I had a long day at work today, and this is like really fun to do, but it's like at the same time though, it's like it takes a kind of toll. So I might just make one. I can make one a day. I could actually make one a day. I might just do that, make one a day, and just kind of talk through it, you know, because this is like, I mean, like, it's not a race. The other one I had to do because it was kind of like I was in the midst of, you know, I had to get it done by Tuesday, so I had like a couple days to do it. But this one here is this one's a fun one to make. So you want to make it with fun. And when I made the unicorns, I made them live, and I just sat there because I had a lot more energy, I guess. But so much further, that's what you gotta do. You just gotta do what you can with what you got, you know? Sorry about that. So anyway, what time is it? Looking at 50. Alright, so I got almost one. The bottom show. I feel like I need like a sink or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna stop here for now because this is what I said I was gonna do, and I actually accomplished the goal in which I wish to accomplish. This is one. All right, I can't make all three right now, but I can make one. One is made. I gotta fatten up a little bit here and there, but this is the one that's completed right here with the fingers, the toes, right? So a matter of reinforcing after that. But here we got that. Thank you so much for watching my channel today. I want to say God bless you, and I wish you all the best. Again, thank you for watching. I'm gonna have another one soon coming up. I'm gonna make another one. I have 5 more of these to make, so see how it goes. God bless you. Thank you, and have a good night. Bye.